Give up the fried foods. You take in all your antioxidants, selenium, OPC. Very easy. I'm 66 years old. My blood pressure is 121/71. My resting pulse is 47. If I were to go to a doctor for a physical now, they would have a hemorrhage. They'd send me in for a pacemaker. What? Your resting pulse is 47? You're going to have a heart attack. Really? Well, let's see who can lift the most weight and keep alive here, Doc. Also, low cholesterol makes you stupid. I love that study. Well, they took almost 800 men and 1,100 women. They divided them into two groups. Those with blood cholesterols below 200, which they thought were going to be the healthiest and smartest, and those with blood cholesterols above 240. And the ones who had blood cholesterols above 240 were 49% smarter than the ones who had blood cholesterol below 200. Hooah! Low-fat diets lose their luster for heart attack, stroke, breast cancer, colon cancer. There's no difference in the rate between a low-fat diet and a high-fat diet. No difference whatsoever. Obesity is now, it was on television again this morning, is the number one preventable killer. There's 16% of American kids who are obese. By the year 2010, they say that 75% of Americans will be overweight and 40% will be obese. Now, this is despite all these surgeries, despite all the drugs. There's more people involved with fitness than ever before. That's because we're living on too much carbohydrates and not enough people are taking in nutrients, especially minerals. Sweet fruit drinks make pudgy kids fatter. Fruit juice. I'm not giving my kid Pepsi, I'm giving him apple juice. We're living on dry cereals and apple juice. They go to school with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They come home and eat Kraft's macaroni and cheese, and the parents think they're giving them a good diet. There's nothing but carbohydrates and sugar. There's not even anything green and leafy or tomatoes in there. Nothing but sugar and carbohydrates. No vitamins and minerals. And the kids, got ADD and ADHD, and he's going to be a serial killer when he grows up. Well, this is the cause of obesity in America. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to tell you. You can see where the horses have chewed that rail of that wagon out. This is called pica. You've all read about pica or cribbing. The only thing that will cause this behavior where they eat dirt or chew on the fence or wooden implements and things like that is a mineral deficiency. Some minerals are worse than others, but all mineral deficiencies cause this behavior in animals, pica or cribbing, where they eat other things other than food. And it's not boredom, it's they're minerally deficient. Pregnant women are legendary for getting cravings during pregnancy. Why is that? Because the baby, as it's developing, is stealing minerals from the mother, and if she's not taking in enough to counteract that, they crave things. In the Old South, where they have the heart attack, stroke, and cancer belt of America, they eat cornstarch. How many of you have heard of women eating cornstarch when they're pregnant? Yeah. And what about clay? They go out in the yard and eat clay when they're pregnant. In fact, people come and say, Doc, am I sick? Am I crazy? I have this craving for clay. No, you're just pregnant, my dear. It's so common in the Old South. You go to a grocery store into the dairy section, they got these little bags of yellow clay, red clay, orange clay, blue clay, black clay. You can have your choice. Whichever one flips your switch. I love this one. Came out in October of last year. Eating dirt may be good for you. Don't take vitamins and minerals. You can overdose, but eat dirt. Experts claim the habit of eating clay may be beneficial for pregnant women. Now, what is in clay? Clay is minerals. And the woman says, the real good stuff is smooth, tastes just like candy. The habit of eating clay or dirt is known as geophagy, geo for earth and phagy for eat. Some experts lump it into the same category as pica, which is the abnormal urge to eat coins, paint, soap, and other non-food items such as wood ashes, plant minerals. And so there was a natural drive for pregnant women at the dawn of history to eat wood ashes and dirt and clay and things looking for minerals as those babies drove them to be minerally deficient. I could say a lot of things about a lot of diseases, but I'm going to just go to selenium when it comes to cancer because Dr. Schrouser did such an eloquent job. You've all heard my tape. I hope you've all heard the tape, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And on there, I was reading this, and of course, doctors turned me over to every agency in the world because I had found an anti-cancer diet. I was just reading this, and of course, when I made that tape, I was just reading, an anti-cancer diet has been found. They interpreted that I was claiming that I had made an anti-cancer diet. And what they did was look at these vitamins and minerals. And dietary supplements such as vitamin C, retinol, which is a form of vitamin A, zinc, riboflavin, vitamin B2, molybdenum, which is a trace mineral, niacin, B3, had no statistically significant effect on cancer deaths over the 5 years. Well, it takes a little bit longer for them to do things. However, in a group of middle-aged people, I think there was 29,000 people between the age of 49 and 60, during the same 5-year period, those who took only beta-carotene, vitamin E, and the trace mineral selenium for 5 years, the results were striking. 13% fewer deaths from all cancers, 20% reduction deaths from stomach cancer, which is very high in that portion of China, and a 9% disappearance of deaths from all causes. just by taking those 3 supplements. And, of course, they were very low doses. They were just a portion of the RDA. Well, in 1912, in Popular Mechanics, that wonderful medical journal, written so you can understand it, Dr. Wasserman, who invented the Wasserman test, which is that blood test a lot of his old guys had to take before he got married to get a license, detected syphilis. He had an active case of syphilis. He had discovered a chemical substance which turned out to be selenium that will cure cancer in mice. He went on to say that selenium has a selective action against cancer cells but didn't hurt healthy tissues. He went on to say that the cancer in mice is so similar to that in humans, he believed that an important advance had been made toward the cure of that veritable scourge, cancer in people. Well, in 1912, when this came out, we began to put selenium into animal foods. It stayed dormant in interest to medical doctors until December of 1996, 84 years later, when this came out. Dr. Larry Clark, a medical doctor, I have to give him credit, medical doctor, PhD from the University of Arizona, and he did the gold standard medical research. He did a randomized double-blind study on 1,300 people for 7 years. Half of them got 200 micrograms or 1/5 of a milligram of selenium. The other half got sugar pills or placebos. And to make a long story short, his final analysis showed taking selenium slashed the occurrence, not the risk, but slashed the actual occurrence, which is much more powerful than slashing the risk. Slashed the occurrence of prostate cancer by 69%, colorectal cancer by 64%, and lung cancer by 39%. Well, 2 months after this wonderful news came out, Dr. Larry Clark, MD, PhD, dies of prostate cancer at age 52. He didn't take selenium because he didn't believe in it. He actually purposely avoided selenium because he believed in chemotherapy because that's how he made his living. And so it cost him his life. He didn't even make it to 56, died of 52 of prostate cancer. Nobody should die of prostate cancer. No link found between fat and breast cancer. High-fiber diets don't protect you. Multivitamins cut colon cancer risk. 90,000 nurses, Harvard Nurses Health Study, 15 years on a multivitamin, reduced the risk of colon cancer by 75% in these 90,000 women. Reduce the risk of colon cancer by 75% for like $2 a day. Are there any drugs that will reduce the risk of colon cancer by 1%? No. Here's a little nutritional formula. Will reduce your risk of colon cancer by 75%. It's going to cost you half of what it costs for an espresso latte from Starbucks. And people say, I don't know, I can't remember to do that in the morning. Well, then die. Wow. And so, fortunately, there's always a small group of people who will survive. Just like in Katrina, there was a group of people who, when they got the word on Thursday that it was coming, and the storm filled the entire Gulf of Mexico, or as they say in Texas, the entire Gulf of Mexico. They little old people, little bags of water, they start walking west. 3 days later when it hit, they were 100 miles away. And the ones who stayed, the government will save us. That FEMA will do it. Don't forget the bird flu. Okay, I think I get diabetes and arthritis in the last 10 minutes I have here. There's a diabetes epidemic. There's 1 million new cases in 2000, and last year in 2005 there was 1.6 million new cases. It went up more than 50% in 4 years. Went up more than 50% in 4 years, despite all this wondrous medical care, and that's why we now rank 46th in the world in health and longevity. And so all the insulin, and all the exercise programs, and all the amputations, and all the blindness, and all the stuff we go through is unnecessary. We can eliminate high blood pressure and diabetes in the black community, the white community, the human community in 90 days if everybody would do the right thing. And so we have loved ones, we have family, we have church mates, we have workmates, we have neighbors. We have to help them. All will not listen. And I used to get all frustrated. I must be doing something wrong. I should be able to get people to realize how important this is. And then I think back to Jesus. Did everybody believe Jesus? And the answer is no. Did everybody follow his word? No. And so who am I to think that I should get 100%? And so I said, okay. And so you have to realize, and don't take it personal, when 85% of the people say, no, I've got a good doctor. No, my blood sugar's under control. It's 140 every morning. I got my cholesterol under control. I'm taking those statin drugs. Everything's fine. I'm healthy. Diabetes rate soars for Americans in their 30s. It used to be called adult onset type 2 diabetes because it only occurred in people over age 50. Well, now newborn babies are having it. Minority kids have the worst risk. If you take the white kids out of the ratios, it's not 16% of the kids that have obesity and diabetes. Guess what? It's 50% of the kids. Okay? It's the Hispanics, the Native Americans, the black community. And that's because, not genetic, it's because of how they eat.